Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Pranam.
Very well, Prabhu.
Okay, it is 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock Eastern time. So we have 16 devotees. I'll just start, Prabhuji, with the agenda for today, and then we can start the class. So I think today is the topic is chapter 9. We will go through the group presentations. We will go in the reverse direction, which means group 6 will start first. So and the presentations will be followed by Q&A. So hopefully we'll have enough time for that. So with that, Prabhuji, with your permission, can we start the group presentations?
Yes, Prabhu. Let's start. Thank you.
Okay. So group 6, if they can please start their presentation.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I'm trying to share my, let me see. Are you able to see my screen, Prabhuji?
Are you sharing from a cell phone?
Yes, Prabhuji. I am.
So it's kind of giving the outline of the cell phone, but we could see it. We could see it briefly.
Prabhuji, do you mind sharing my
Yes.
screens for me?
Yeah, I can. I have her presentation. So let me share my screen and go from there.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So far we have studied 9 chapters in Bhagavad Gita. Ninth chapter is titled The Most Confidential Knowledge. One may ask, if this is the most confidential knowledge, then what about the knowledge given in the earlier chapters? In his lectures, Bhayahari Prabhuji explained very nicely that Krishna is gradually and progressively revealing more and more confidential knowledge to Arjuna and to all of us. Prabhuji, if you could move the screen. And the next slide, Prabhuji. In chapter 2 to 6, Krishna speaks about us. He gives the confidential knowledge of soul, which is distinct from the body. This knowledge, or Atma Jnana, opens the path for liberation. In the next chapters 7 and 8, Krishna speaks about himself, his various energies, his powers, his relationship with Jiva, Sambandha Jnana, that the Supreme Lord is eternally a loving master and living entities are his loving servitors. This knowledge, next slide, Prabhuji, this knowledge is more confidential. The one before this, Prabhuji, sorry. This knowledge is more confidential and is suitable for attaining Krishna. The process for attaining Krishna, Bhakti, is also revealed. This knowledge ends the cycle of repeated birth and death and gives one direct realization of Krishna. Lastly, in chapter 9, Krishna gives the most confidential knowledge about Shuddha Bhakti or Abhidheya Gyan, the knowledge and process of pure devotional service. With this knowledge, one can not only attain Krishna, but can also control Krishna. Next slide, please. The Gaudiya Vaishnavacharyas teach us that this knowledge actually refer to the pure devotional service, which consists of 9 different activities: hearing, chanting, remembering, serving the Lord, worshipping the deity of the Lord, praying, executing orders, serving as a friend, and completely surrendering to the Lord. Lord Krishna speaks this knowledge to encourage Arjuna to higher and higher elevation to his potent service. Now one may ask, how is it that this knowledge is most confidential, yet it is easily available and accessible to all in Bhagavad Gita? As we all know, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is equally merciful to everyone. Although this knowledge and these messages of Supreme Personality of Godhead are meant for everyone, this descending mercy of the Lord can only be realized in the association of devotees and not otherwise in the association of mental speculators and academic scholars. Krishna is seated in the hearts of everyone. He understands the mentality and sincerity of a particular living entity, and he reciprocates accordingly. He gives the intelligence and remembrance to a sincere devotee who want to understand the science of Krishna, and grants forgetfulness to those who want to forget Krishna, those who are envious of Krishna, those who see faults in Krishna's qualities and pastimes, and his devotees can never understand the subject matters of his teachings and can never take to bhakti. Next, those who are ignorant, lacking interest in spiritual teachings, who are grossly engaged in the objects of sense gratification, and those who are faithless, even after hearing all the evidence of Vedic literature from great personalities, still have no faith in God or his messages. They cannot stay fixed in devotional service of the Lord and can never attain God consciousness. Next, Lord Krishna also glorifies this knowledge with 7 key points. He says that this knowledge is the king of education, Rajvidya. Just as when a king travels, he is protected from the front and behind, same way this knowledge is protected from front and behind with the knowledge of karma and jnana. Rajaguhyam, most confidential knowledge of pure devotional service, which not only opens the path to Krishna, but also how to control Krishna. In Vrindavan Leela, we see how Krishna becomes the puppet in the hands of his pure devotees. Pavitram, it is both pure and purifying. And Pratyaksha Avyagam, it gives direct perception of self, Krishna, and everything else. We can understand with the example of sun. When sun rises, 3 things happen. We see sun, we see ourselves, and we see everything else. Avyayam, everlasting. The benefits of this process do not go away, whereas the benefits of karma kanda and jnana are perishable. Dharmyam, and this is the perfection of religion. And susukham, it is joyfully performed because this is the constitutional position of the soul. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jay, thank you very much. Very nice summary. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Over to group 5.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept my most humble obeisances. So we are group 5. The topic for today is Krishna as the unconceivable Achintya Tattva. Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 9, 4 to 10. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Please accept my most humble obeisances. I recently went to Brahmand Ghat in Vrindavan Yatra and came to know that Lord Krishna showed entire cosmic manifestation inside himself. Although I accept it theoretically, still I need more conviction. Can you explain more?
Haribol, this is Lord Krishna bestowed serendipity. I was also praying for someone so that I can do some discussion as we are currently studying this topic of Lord Krishna as Achintya, inconceivable in our Bhakti Shastri course. Actually, Lord Krishna is inconceivable by any of our material faculties.
If Lord Krishna is inconceivable to our material faculties, is there any way we can get access to the name, fame, qualities, and pastimes of Lord Krishna?
The access to the same can be gained by cultivating a transcendental devotional attitude of servitude.
It means that on maturity of service attitude, we will feel the presence of Lord Krishna everywhere. But does that mean his personal existence has been lost?
No, his personal existence is never lost. To refute such an argument, the Lord says, I am everywhere and everything is in me, but still I am aloof. For example, a king heads a government which is but the manifestation of the king's energy. The different governmental departments are nothing but the energies of the king, and each department is resting on the king's power.
If Lord Krishna is managing everything by diffusion of his different energies, will he not get tired? It reminds me of Atlas holding the globe on his shoulders. He seems to be very tired, holding this great earthly planet.
Not at all. Such an image should not be entertained in connection with Krishna's upholding this created universe. He says that although everything is resting on him, he is aloof. The planetary system are floating in space, and this space is the energy of the Supreme Lord, but he is different from space.
For an ordinary person like me, it is almost inconceivable how this huge material creation is resting in Lord Krishna. Can you give me an example?
Yes, Lord Krishna gives an example in Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, shlok number 6, which may help us to understand. The sky may be the biggest manifestation we can conceive. And in that sky, the wind or air is the biggest manifestation in the cosmic world. The movement of the air influences the movements of everything.
If creation, maintenance, and dissolution takes place by the supreme will of the Lord, then how does Lord Krishna participate in this process as Lord Vishnu?
At the creation, the material energy is let loose as the Mahatattva, into which the Lord as his Purusha incarnations.
If Almighty Lord Vishnu enters into everything, then where do the living entities fit into the scheme of things of the material creation?
Now, as far as the living entities are concerned, they are impregnated into this material nature, and as a result of their past deeds, they take different positions. Thus, the activities of this material world begin.
It seems that the creation takes place to accommodate the inclinations of the various living entities, and so the Lord does not become involved with it. But how can Lord remain neutral after being so involved even up to the atomic details?
Now, the example can be given of a high court judge sitting on his bench. By his order, so many things are happening. Someone is being hanged, someone is being put into jail, someone is awarded a huge amount of wealth, etc. But still, the judge is neutral. He has nothing to do with all the gain and loss. Similarly, the Lord is always neutral, although he has his hand in every sphere of activity.
Prabhu, I beg to differ. For his devotees, Krishna does not remain neutral. I think he broke his promise thrice in the war of Kurukshetra by picking up the weapon, particularly when he promised that he will not.
Prabhu, this is his neutrality again. He responds to the desire of his dear devotees, Bhishmadev, who wanted him to demonstrate his Bhakta Vatsalya feature. He is neutral and reciprocates as per our feelings for him.
Inconceivably, the Supreme Lord, although aloof from all the activities of the material world, remains a supreme director. Can you give an example to illustrate this further?
He simply glances over material nature, and material nature is thus activated, and everything is created immediately. This example is given in the Smriti. When there is a fragrant flower before someone, the fragrance is touched by the smelling power of the person. Yet the smelling and the flower are detached from one another.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for your time. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. I was just curious. You said that Krishna broke his promise 3 times. What are the 3 times that he broke his promise? One I know is when he picked up the chariot wheel and he tried to attack Bhishma. What are the other 2 times?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, may I just tell that? Prabhuji, once he took the chariot wheel in front of Bhishma Dev. Second, when Dronacharya attacked with the Brahmastra, then also he was ready. And the third, to protect Maharaj Parikshit Maharaj, he again picked up weapon exactly at the end of Kurukshetra war.
I see. Okay. Thank you very much. Very good presentation. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Group 4.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. This is Knowing Krishna, based on chapter 9, verse 13 to 19. And this is group 4. We'll be presenting a skit. I'll be the devotee, and my mom will be the friend.
Hare Krishna. Hey, what are you doing out here? Relaxing?
Oh, I'm just sitting and admiring the beautiful sunset. The wind is so cool and soothing, just like Krishna himself.
Huh. But I thought you heard Krishnas always say the material world is a trap.
It's true, but it doesn't mean we can't appreciate its beauty. You know, even the material world is Krishna's energy, a part of him.
Really? Everything?
Yes, everything and everyone. You, me, every living being, the earth, the planets, stars, sun, moon, universe, everything is a part of Lord Krishna.
Wow, that's an interesting perspective. What about the other gods, you know? I regularly worship Lord Ganesh, Ganapati Baba, Moria, Moria.
Yes, all the devatas and even Lord Shiva has his origins in Supreme Lord. They are part and parcel of him, and even their powers come from him.
Really? But don't you have to give up everything and go to Krishna? I heard people say that you can only ask for spiritual help from Krishna, not material.
It is true that the ultimate goal is to give up everything and fully surrender to Krishna, but no one can do that overnight. You can definitely ask for even material prosperity from Krishna. After all, when you did Ganesh Puja to pass your exams last month, do you know who granted it? It was Krishna. He is the source of Lord Ganesha's powers. No one can do anything without Krishna's will or permission.
Wow. That is not what I heard. Are you sure?
Yes, in the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that there are 4 kinds of people who seek out Krishna: the poor, the distressed, the one who is curious about God, and the one who is in search of knowledge. They all can come to Krishna. There is no harm if you ask him for passing your exam or just anything you need. He loves you.
All this time I've been going from Devata to Devata, from Ganesh to Saraswati to Durga to...
Yeah, yes, my friend. Worshipping the Devatas with full faith, it may take you a little bit closer to the Lord, but that is like walking the stairs to the top of a building when there's an elevator access. Why spend so much time and energy when you can just go straight to Krishna, who is more than happy to take care of you?
I think I will give it a try. But who really is Krishna? That blue one?
My friend, Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, I know that sounds a little complicated. What I'm really trying to say is he is God Almighty, the creator and origin of literally everything and everyone. I know you often do the yagyas and the fire oblations to the devatas and the ancestors. Krishna is the fire. Fire comes from him. Krishna is also the butter you offer and the Om chanted by the Brahmanas. He's also the Vedic text recited by the Brahmanas. He's also the Brahmanas. He gave them their knowledge and the virtues, and they as living beings are part and parcel of him. The material universe is in him as well as his own spiritual world. Krishna is the ultimate source. Please consider seeking him out. Despite his greatness, he is also the mother and father of everyone and is very kind and affectionate.
That's amazing. I never knew he was so important. Now I see why you worship him strictly. There is no need to go to anyone else when you have him. Thank you. I will definitely read the Gita and try chanting like you do. Oh, and I noticed you have a really nice blue doll there. Can I have him? Hare Krishna. Thank
Yes,
you.
you have him. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Very well done. It's engaging and informative at the same time. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Next group, group 3.
Hare Krishna, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, Manjeet.
Yeah, so our group will be presenting on the topic how not to worship Krishna. So it'll be in a presentation format. So we'll start with what Krishna is not. So from Bhagavad Gita verses 9:11 to 9:12 describes what Krishna is not. He is not a common man, though in a human form, and he performs activities like stealing butter or herding cows. His body is not material, it's Sachidananda. He's not a merely powerful man, even though he lifted the Govardhan hill at the age of 7. He's not controlled. He's not limited. He can be the larger of the largest and the smaller of the smallest. Actually, he's the original Supreme Personality of Godhead.
How not to worship Krishna. Bhagavad Gita verses 9:20 to 9:21. Becoming a student of the Vedas, but more interested in worshipping the demigods like Indra and Chandra to achieve higher planetary system in order to gratify the senses. Studying the Vedas for sense enjoyment, which will eventually lead one to repeated birth and death. The next, Bhagavad Gita verses 9:23 to 24. Demigod worship is just like watering the branches of the tree, not realizing that the ultimate benefactor of all sacrifices and the enjoyer.
Continuing demigod worship in 9.25, not knowing that there are sublime planets where Krishna or Vishnu lives, so that people are worshiping the demigods take birth in the planets of those demigods. And then continuing in 9.26, through offering undesirable or unauthorized items without love or devotion, thinking that only opulent items are worthy to be used for offering. Krishna lists some very basic things that will be accepted. Thinking that it matters what or where one is situated in order to do devotional service, or thinking that Krishna is not a person and does not have senses.
Haribol, continuing on how to not worship Krishna. If you don't give the fruits of all of your activities to Krishna, such as if you're working, you don't give, a portion of your salary, for example, not offering food to Krishna when you're cooking. And if you engage in the what's thought of as the modern day meditation process, many people do things like yoga or meditation, not realizing that the actual goal of all of this is Krishna and to please Krishna and link up with Krishna. And the third is thinking that Krishna is partial only to his devotees and envious of all other people, without realizing that actually it's very natural and not discriminatory on the part of Krishna to do so. For example, one example that that I heard about is if there's a fire, naturally the father will rescue his children first, and that's just natural. It's not because he doesn't care about any other children, but he's going to rescue his own dependents first. And next is if you're doing unsanctioned activities and thinking that Krishna will forgive me even if I do this, because you're taking advantage of Krishna's compassionate nature. And also a devotee should know, what activities will hinder his devotional service. So trying to participate in activities that are not favorable to the devotional service is not a good way to worship Krishna. And if you distinguish between devotees as lower or higher class devotees simply based on external factors like their caste, whether they're male or female, whether they're rich or poor, or whatever social status that they may have, that is also not favorable aspect of worshiping Krishna. Next slide, please. Also thinking that the material world is a permanent place. It's full of joy instead of dukkhalayam asasvatam. That is not a good way to serve Krishna. Krishna wants you to come back to his abode and not suffer in the material world. And also thinking that the world is false, such as just like the Mayavadis think that the world is false, is actually insulting to Krishna because he created this world. And one example I've heard is that if an artist, I think Srila Prabhupada said this example, if an artist paints a painting and you say, that's, that painting, it's just false. It's insulting to the artist because there's a lot of effort put in to making the painting, and Krishna is creating this whole material for a world for us. So it might be temporary world, but it's not false. Not being completely absorbed in devotional service is also not favorable to worshiping Krishna. And lastly, thinking that there's other ways besides Krishna consciousness to be delivered and liberated from the material world it is also not a positive way to worship Krishna. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Good job, Shefali. I like the last cartoon also. So I think when you said 11th offense, you're talking about it's also an offense to be inattentive while chanting.
Yeah, the cartoon. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, as inattentive chanting.
Okay, that's what I thought. Thank you. Well done. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Okay, then Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna.
So our topic is Krishna's assurances based on verses 9.22 through 9.28. And this is conversation between seeker and devotee outside the temple courtyard.
I have heard that Lord Krishna promises to take care of his devotee in the Bhagavad Gita, but I find it hard to understand. There is no such uncertainty in life. How can one feel assured of God's help?
Yes, Krishna gives us that assurance. One of the most beautiful verses in the Gita, 9.22, directly addresses this. He says, Ananyas chintayano mam ye janaha paripasate tesham nityavim kuntanam yoga keshmayam vasyam. It means that those who worship him with undivided attention and focus only on him, Krishna himself carries what they need and preserves what they already have.
So Krishna is saying that he personally takes care of the need of his devotees.
Exactly. But the key here is Ananya Bhakti, or exclusive devotion. If a person is constantly thinking of Krishna without being distracted by material concern, Krishna promises to provide everything necessary for their well-being. It's about total surrender, trusting that Krishna will guide and protect us.
That sounds very comforting, but it is not always easy to maintain unwavering faith, especially when things go wrong in life. How does one even begin such devotion?
Krishna himself gives us a simple method to begin. In verse 9.26, he says, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yume Bhaktya Prayachati Tad Aham Bhakti Uparitam Ashanami Prayatmana. It means that if one offers Krishna with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water, he will accept it. So it's not about offering grand or expensive things, it is about offering with devotion, even the simplest thing like flower, leaf, fruit, or water. Krishna is laying out the foundation that one has to start devotional service to him from something very simple, and he's always eager to reciprocate with his devotees.
That's beautiful. So it is not about the value of the offering, but the devotion behind it.
Yes, absolutely. Krishna is looking at the heart of the devotee. What matters most to him is the love, sincerity, and purity with which something is offered. He is not interested in material wealth. He is looking for the main ingredient of love or prema that one has for him.
Devotional life begins with a small offering to Krishna, but how does devotee act when they start to feel more connected to him?
Krishna addresses that too. In verse 9.27, he says, Yat karosi yat sanasi, yas juhosi dadasi yata, yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva mad arpanam. This means whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that as an offering to me. Initially, Krishna asks for simple things, but when one feels more connected to him and wants to dedicate their life for him, Krishna advises them to do every material action as an offering to him.
That's very practical. It seems like one can live a normal life, but still be a devotee by simply dedicating every action to Krishna and avoid the distraction of mundane worldly affairs.
Exactly. We all need to eat, and Krishna encourages his devotee to offer bhoga to him and then lovingly accept the prasada. Krishna also has specific preferences for what can be offered. Items like meat, fish, eggs, and intoxicants are not suitable as offerings. Additionally, we naturally feel inclined to give, so we can share Krishna Prasada, distribute Krishna conscious literatures, and help build more temples furthering Krishna conscious movement. As for meditation, Krishna recommends the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, which is practical and most effective in this age. Krishna always remembers his devotee with joy and eagerness, waiting for the chance to reciprocate with them in the same mood. By living in this way, offering all actions to him, life becomes a continuous act of devotion, freeing us from consequences of our action.
But what about the consequences of good and bad karma?
Krishna explained this in the verse 9.2 way. It means in this way you will be freed from the bondage of work and its auspicious and inauspicious result. With your mind fixed on me in this principle of renunciation, you will be liberated and come to me. It means any action that are done will result in karma, either good or bad, and bind to the material world. However, if these actions are directed to Krishna under the principle of Yukta Vairagya, one will be freed from the material bondage, and that will lead to the liberation. Again, liberation here does not mean being one with the God and merging into its existence. Liberation means getting association of Krishna as his personal associate in any of the rasas in the spiritual world, where they will be eternally able to serve him blissfully in association with other devotees. Therefore, pure devotees in Krishna consciousness are already liberated even in the material body. They will be transported to the spiritual world in the original spiritual body after leaving their present material body and continue devotional service to the Lord eternally.
This is so reassuring. Krishna is not only promising to take care of our worldly needs, but also take us back to Godhead and freeing us from the cycle of repeated birth and death.
That is his ultimate assurance. Initially, we begin devotional service unto Krishna by simple offering as a flower, leaf, fruit, or water. But as the devotion matures, by devotees' sincere service and Krishna reciprocation, devotees will ultimately dedicate every action to him. Again, pure devotees are always liberated either in material world or spiritual world. Moreover, pure devotees like Srila Prabhupada, out of their unconditional mercy, will come to the material world to take unconditional soul like us back into the spiritual world. Mercifulness of Krishna and his devotees do not let conditional soul to forget the purpose and provide them the deliverance. Therefore, engage in Krishna Bhakti in the company of devotees, following the teaching found in Srila Prabhupada's text and the guidance of his disciples. In time, Krishna will lead us to his eternal abode. And always chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare.
Hare Bol. All glory to Srila Prabhupada.
That ends our presentation.
Yes, thank you.
Hare Krishna, very good. I like the fact that every statement that you made, you also had a reference to it. So the 9th chapter is probably one of the most referred to chapter in terms of the verses, just because Krishna has so many assurances for devotees, and also because it presents the essential Gaudiya Vaishnava Tattva also. So I like the fact that you were referring to the verses appropriately. Well done. Thank you.
Okay, group 1.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. And today's topic, skit on the topic, Krishna consciousness meant for everyone with ultimate benefits. The scene is Gopi and Vishwa sits on a bench discussing life. Shobha overhears them and approaches. Look, I've been searching for something deeper, something that gives meaning to life. I've read so much. Philosophy, history, even some religious text, but nothing fills the gap. Yeah, I've read a lot too. All these spiritual practices, they are just rituals, aren't they? Reserved for those born into it or for some elite class? What about people like us?
That's where Krishna consciousness is different. Krishna is like a cloud, just like rain falls equally on rocks, land, and water. Regardless of where it lands, Krishna's mercy falls on everyone without distinction. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 9.29, I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all. Whoever renders service unto me in devotion is in me, and I am in him. When Krishna says he is partial to his devotees, it reflects his special mercy and transcendental connection with them.
But isn't it just for certain people, those born into a specific caste or who follow specific rituals?
Not at all. Krishna welcomes all who take shelter in him. This is what we call Vyaprastritya, meaning anyone can approach Krishna regardless of their background. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 9.32, O son of Pritha, those who take shelter in me, though they be of lower birth, women, merchants, as well as laborers, can attain the supreme destination. I used to think spirituality was only for the learned or privileged. But Shobha Mataji showed me Krishna consciousness and I realized it's for everyone, people like me too. Exactly. Krishna's love is for all, whether you are rich or poor, educated or uneducated. It does not matter. The only thing that matters is devotion. When Krishna says he's equal to all, it means he's not just looking at our actions, but at our intentions and sincerity in devotion.
So Krishna consciousness offers the same destination to everyone, eternal life with Krishna.
Exactly. By surrendering to Krishna, you achieve the supreme goal. Krishna promises his devotees never perish. In Bhagavad Gita 9.31, Krishna says, "Declare it boldly, O son of Kunti, that my devotees never perish."
Voice of Krishna. I am the same to all beings. Whoever renders service unto me with devotion is a friend, and I am in him.
Krishna's love, like the rain, is available to all. Whether we are stones or fertile ground, Krishna still showers his grace upon us. He invites everyone to take shelter under his divine love. Since I've begun practicing Krishna consciousness, I feel his grace with me every day.
Krishna consciousness isn't just a philosophy, it's a reality. And the benefits are the ultimate ones, eternal connection with the Supreme. If Krishna consciousness is truly open to everyone and offers such benefits, I want to experience it too. Me too. I feel like I finally found the answer I've been seeking.
Welcome to the path of Krishna consciousness. Just remember, Krishna's love knows no barriers, and his grace is for all who seek him with sincerity. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Engage in devotion with sincere heart, and you will see, no matter who you are, this path leads to me, the supreme destination. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. This is a little bit of a complicated subject, and I feel that you may have missed the point in the presentation. But I'm going to ask you to take a look at it again, and if possible, refer back to the verses that you are quoting from, because some of the statements that you made are actually not from the. I mean, they're not correct as far as the statements made by Krishna. So the intent of the topic is that so the equality of Krishna is that he gives everybody the same opportunity, but then there is partiality of Krishna also. Like Krishna, he goes overboard in talking about his past. Like samam sabhuteshu name dveshasti na priya. But he said that ye bhajante samam bhaktiya, that even though I'm the same to everybody, but one who's a devotee, maititeshu chapyam, right? He said that person is in me. So he does declare his partiality. I think my sense is, from a preaching perspective, the points that you make are probably good to encourage persons to take to Krishna consciousness. However, from a tattva perspective, given the fact that we're doing Bhakti Shastri, they may probably not be representing the intent of the topic. So maybe if you can take another round at it, and you can send the PowerPoint to me separately. I can take a look at it. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Okay, I think Prabhuji, we will move to the next segment, which is Q&A. So if devotees have questions for Prabhuji, they can please raise their hand.
Yes, Prabhu. Now, Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. So Krishna has stressed upon Om in many places in the Bhagavad Gita. For example, in 9.17 also he says that I am the transcendental Om, and elsewhere also he's stressing a lot on Om. And we know that Hare Krishna mantra also contains Om. But directly there is nowhere where he says anything about the Hare Krishna Maha mantra in Bhagavad Gita. So doesn't that give a sense of encouragement to those who are chanting Om?
It may. The Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, you're right, it's mentioned elsewhere in the Vedas. in the one of the Upanishads, the conversation between Lord Brahma and Narad Muni, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra explicitly mentioned that Narad Muni asked Brahma that what is the he said this age of Kali is full of faults. Is any redeeming factor? And then Lord Brahma says, the Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Iti Shodashkam Nama Nam Kali Kalantram Nashnam Nath Paratrupaya Sarve Desha Jashita. So this mantra is explicitly mentioned there, and also mentioned by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, giving different references. In terms of it giving encouragement, so the Om definitely represents the impersonal Brahman. Srila Prabhupada made that point, that Om is the Pranav. From Om comes the Gayatri, from Gayatri comes the Veda, so it's the impersonal representation of the Lord. And just like Krishna talks about karma and gyan and asthang, so in order to basically establish context, he also talks about Om as a way for those who are beginning their path of spirituality to be able to access him. But Prabhupada, if you notice in the purports, he several times, I forget the count of the number of purports, but in several of the purports, he explicitly calls out the Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Shripadma?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Chapter 9.25. No, I'm sorry. Verse 9.25 say those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods, and then spirits and ancestors. And only with Krishna it's forever. And because we know that the demigods, even they are not forever. They have their cycle. So then after that, those who take birth in demigod planet, they'll come back to earth. They'll come back in the material world, and then they'll live a pious life and then go through the cycle after all their good things. But what about the ghosts? Would they remain there forever, those who worship ghosts and things like that? I'm just thinking about that. Thank you, Prabhu.
The same principle is applied in terms of the longevity. So the in the Bhagavatam it is mentioned that the days and the nights of the Pitras are aligned to the lunar cycle in terms of I believe a fortnight is a day, a lunar fortnight is a day, and a fortnight is a night. So a lunar month is a full day of the Pitras. And then they live for 100 years, 12 months each year, 30 days each year. So they live for a shorter time than the Devas. And even amongst the Devas, there are different Devas with different longevity. So Indra lives for a Manvantara. So he lives for the entire Manvantara. He being the most prominent of the demigods. And other demigods, they live for a shorter time. Some of them may live for only one Chatur Yuga. Some of them may live for a little bit longer. So not all that there are 330 million devas, not all of them are at the same level. So instead of the 330 million, 30 million are considered to be the prominent devas. And the 300 million are the minor or the not so prominent. I don't want to upset any devas over here, so the not so prominent ones.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Good question. Yes, Rupa Raghunath, Prabhu?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So this is regarding text 30, Prabhuji. Even if one commits the most abominable action, but if he is engaged, then Krishna assures him that you'll get a second opportunity and you're okay. I'm just trying to understand this, Prabhuji, a little bit more from a practical perspective. That is it more like an accidental activity that a devotee happened to do and then he is given forgiveness? Can you shed some more light on, because there is a contrast that I'm still fully engaged in Krishna consciousness, but I am also performing the most abominable action, and still I am pardoned. So I'm just trying to equate the two.
I had the same question. Thank you for asking, Rupa Raghunath Prabhuji.
Thank you. Yes, so it's a good question. So there are a few ways that this verse is understood, explained by the acharyas. So one is, if you look at it, it stands as apichet sudarachara. So apichet is even if, right? So this is known as, what is known as kimutva nyaya. Kimutva nyaya is that to present the impossible to make a point. It's like, let's assume I have a pen, and you say that, can I buy this pen from you? And I say no. And you say, well, I'll give you $10 to buy the pen. And then I say, even if you give me $1 million, I won't sell it to you. Right? Now, probably if you give me $1 million, I will sell it to you. But the point that is being made is that it's a style of presentation where you exaggerate to make a point. So the motive that Krishna is in the 9th chapter is presenting the potency of devotional service. So the point is making is that even if they commit the most abominable activity, right? So one question, as you're asking, why would a devotee commit an abominable activity, right? And Krishna says they will not. But bhakti is so powerful that even if they commit the most abominable activities, they should be considered as devotees. The second explanation is that if you take it from a more factual perspective, that if the devotee is committing abominable activities, and then Krishna's guarantee still stands there. Right? Krishna says that, so he is not including, like, if it is an accidental fall down, or if it is circumstantial, or if it is because of temporary lapse of intelligence, right? He's not including those. It's carte blanche. He's giving a blank check over here, that even if a devotee performs, and of course the second line, the bhajate mamananya bhak, right? That the person is still well situated in his position as a devotee, then Krishna's protection continues. Right? And Srila Prabhupada in the purport writes that Krishna's protection may be punishment. Right? So protection does not necessarily mean that the person is performing abominable activities and he's getting like a free pass. Could be a punishment, right? Sometimes Krishna's love is tough love, like we see it in Chaitanya Leela, where when Chota Haridas, he did some minor infraction,
Right.
and Mahaprabhu was pretty tough on him, and Prabhupada writes on it that he actually did not deserve to be treated that way, because he was begging some rice. But why was he asking for the rice? Because he wanted to cook for Mahaprabhu. Whom was he asking a rice from? A very old lady. Who was that lady? She herself was a pure devotee of Mahaprabhu, right? So the mitigating circumstances were very strong, but Mahaprabhu basically banished him to the point that he committed suicide. Prabhupada writes that, this is Krishna correcting, or maybe using him as an example. So the nature of bhakti is that it does not get destroyed by anything. Your bhakti gets preserved by regardless of how many sinful activities you can perform. So that's the reassurance that Krishna is giving us.
Understood, Prabhuji. So basically, bhakti is outweighing anything else that may come on the path. And I think from your class, I've heard that once Prabhupada asked devotees to go to some country and start the temple or preaching services, and they were not able to sustain or survive in absence of a vegetarian food. So Prabhupada says, bhakti takes precedence. So no matter what you do, even if you have to, violate a little bit, it's okay, because bhakti will outweigh this. So I think understood, Prabhuji.
Yeah, thank you. Good question. Shri Padma?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, sorry. The same question also I remember a while ago. It seems like the exact thing when I was reading Nectar of Instruction, and I was really confused and trying to think how to think about devotees. It is even stated there, even if a devotee sometimes seems to engage in abominable activity, he should be considered a sadhu. I guess the point that you're saying seems to engage, right? It just appears sometimes. And I always wonder, and I'm like, but some devotees engage in whatever. Are they still a devotee? Should we still, associate with them? But thank you, Prabhu. That's always been baffling me. I didn't realize it was in Bhagavad Gita. I thought only Nectar of Instruction. But yeah, now I see it. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
You're right. Yeah, we'll cover it when we do the NOI also, but similar points made. Thank you. Okay, so if there are no more questions, we can end a little early today. And next week, Prabhu, we'll be doing chapter 10, right?
Chapter 10 presentation from you, Prabhuji. And one more thing, Prabhuji, we have some festivals coming up like Diwali, etc. So we'll look at the calendar if something clashes. Like I think the Diwali is on Thursday. So some devotees were requesting if Wednesday can be an off. So we can, I'll post
Okay,
you something.
okay. Yeah, we can take a poll and see, depending on how many devotees are attending.
We can do that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितनां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय। श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय। जय गौर प्रेमानंद। हरे कृष्ण। Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
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 Thank you so much,
Thanks,
Prabhu.
Prabhu.